Welcome, everybody, to our Discover Panama, your guide to buying real estate abroad webinar. We're so happy you all are here. Just want to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. As you noticed that when you came in, we had you muted. So if you guys don't mind either muting again so we don't get any background noise. Sometimes I know people come in unexpected or dogs bark or things happen. So we will, at the end, be taking questions, but you can either unmute yourself and ask them at the end, or you can put them in the chat. And as you saw, Jazmin does a great job of monitoring that. If you've already signed up, you should have received in your email, probably within the last hour, the book, Buying and Flipping Properties in Panama, written by Mike Vitovich, who's joining us today. And please mute your cell phones. We are looking forward to spending the next hour with you, sharing some of the secrets and fun things about Panama. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mike Vitovich and Jazmin Caballero, who are with Inside Panama Real Estate. Mike is from the U.S., San Diego area, has been in Panama for about 16 years. And Jazmin is in Boquete, born and raised in Panama. But also just want to let you know that Inside Panama Real Estate has been nominated for the past 3 years as the #1 listing and selling agents in Panama. They have 8 offices across the country, so they know it really well. They've got lots of experience, and Mike has a lot of experience with buying and flipping in Panama. So any of you guys who are interested in doing the investing, he's a great source. So without further ado, Mike, do you want to introduce yourself a little further?
Sure. Thanks, Cynthia, for putting this together. I'm Mike Vitovich. I'm the founder of Inside Panama. I've actually been here for 18 years. The company's been here for 16, but came here from San Diego, California, toured around the country for 2 years to get acclimated and do some demographics, and launched a real estate company literally on my dining room table right here in Coronado. And here we are today with 8 offices and lots of employees. We really take what we do very serious. Most of our clients are expats. We feel like we're well positioned for that because being an American, I understand the American or North Americans' needs, and of course we speak the same language, and we're real excited to be able to help people relocate to Panama.
Great, thank you. Jazmin, do you want to expand a little bit on what I said?
Yes. Hello, how are you? I'm Jazmin, the CEO of Inside Panama. I've been working in real estate since 2012, which is 12 years already. And I have 7 years at Inside Panama. I really enjoy doing what I'm doing. I enjoy helping people also. And I born and raised here in Boquete. So I can guide you also by all the local sources that you can get familiar with everything here in Panama, having the experience to be a local person here. So
thank you.
I'm here.
And just to introduce myself, I'm Cynthia Lehman. I'm a certified international property specialist. I travel the globe and I have connections everywhere, so I can introduce you to people like Jazmin and Mike. I also had the opportunity to live in Panama for almost 17 years and lived every minute of it. Traveled like Mike and Jazmin across the country, which is really cool, easy to do. And a lot of people, I think, don't give Panama enough credit for the picture that you see there in the middle is actually Panama City, and it looks like Miami. I think people are always amazed because a lot of people don't even know where it's located. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about today why Panama is so fantastic and how you can move here, purchase property, and enjoy a really great lifestyle. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started and talk a little bit about what are the key factors that make Panama attractive for expats and investors. Jazmin, do you want to start with that?
Yes. The first one is the low cost of living. So we can see, for example, all the labor cost for like maids, handymans, also gardeners is very low here. So also the food is very affordable. Mostly if you are in areas where you can get directly from the producers, like the vegetables, fruits. So it's very important that you understand that here you will save a lot of money in those costs of living. So also the modern infrastructure, mostly in Panama City. So like the skylines of these high buildings, we have a very also big market in Panama for commercial, and also the use of the US dollar here in Panama. So that means that we use this like the worldwide currency, and that's very important. Also, we have a tropical climate, which we just have 2 seasons in the year, which is raining season or green season and summer season. So basically, we don't have hurricanes, we don't have tornadoes. So also, what is very important here is that we have a welcoming expat community where there is a significant expatriate community that you can get access by the social network. People can recommend you like different ways to get more familiar with Panama, high quality of life, and the diverse of real estate market depends where you want to go. If you want to go to the mountains, if you want to go to the beach, if you want to go, like in the countrysides, we have a very, very large diversity. And we have also an stable economy.
Very good. All very important points. Mike, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, maybe just a little bit about the medical care. I was pretty impressed with the medical care when I first came here, and in fact, recently had a little mishap. I nipped off the tip of my finger, pruning, and I was kind of panicked. Just kind of wrapped it up with paper towels, and I went off to the doctor's office. Didn't have an appointment, of course. Just walked in and said help. Approximately 20 minutes later, I was all done, all bandaged up. I had a couple of prescriptions. The doctor visit was $17. Prescriptions were $49, and about 10 days later, I'm back to playing golf. So actually, the medical care is pretty darn good here, and of course it's a lot less expensive than North America. So I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, we're going to go into a little bit more of that later in the webinar, but and we can expand on a little bit dental care, health care. No matter, we've got story after story of all of our friends that have had mishaps that have had great turnouts on that. So it's always one of the important questions that we ask. But the beauty of Panama is that no matter whether you want to be in the mountains or at the beach or at the ocean or at the cities, everything is really easily accessible, either, driving across the country or flying, right? So you can drive from Panama City to Boquete in 7 hours from one end of the country to the other? Or you can fly. I'm sorry?
Maybe less. Yesterday they opened 8 carriles in the highway from Panama, City. So actually that will be less time.
Yeah, I know. Since you've been there, there's been so much changed, right, Mike? All of the grocery stores. Yeah. I remember when I first went, one of my key things was I drink coffee, but I don't want it to taste like coffee. So it was like, as long as they have my coffee creamer, I was good to go. And now we've got Starbucks everywhere. There's all kinds of it's very, very, I don't want to say Americanized, but there's a lot of things that you can get from all over the world in Panama. Not to mention they have the most expensive coffee per pound, right? The geisha coffee is and I'm going to leave that for you guys to Google later. How much does geisha coffee in Panama cost? So with that, we're going to move on to overview of visas. So those of you who are from Europe and know about Europe, you've got that 90-day Schengen thing where you can, or it's 180 days, right? Where you have to get out of the country. So Panama has something similar, but we do have ways around that with visas. So, Jazmin and Mike, can you tell us a little bit about what some of the visas, without going into detail, because I know we're not lawyers, we're not accountants, but we can certainly hook people up with those people who that's what their job is. But we just want to give everybody a little bit of an overview of the
Yes.
different type of visas that are available here. Jazmin, would you start?
Yes. Okay, so the different types of visas that Panama offers, one is the Friendly Nation visa, is for citizens or selected countries. So also we have the Pensionado visa, which is for retired with a lifetime pension, and the Self-Economic Solvency visa, which is the one that requires a specific investment in property and then or a bank deposit. So there is other one, which is the one where the investments make a big investment is called Qualified Investors Visa. So that grants fast track residence through larger investments. So basically what you have to do is in the moment that you come to Panama and you engage with an attorney, find out which one is the match better for your requirements.
And Mike, you have a visa. When I was there, I had a Friendly Nations visa because I was still doing business, but my husband was retired, so that's the type of visa that he had, and they were both fairly easy.
I think that
So-
one of the reasons that Panama is on many people's list as they consider options is Panama may be one of the easiest countries in the world to gain residency. There's so many options and ways to do it. And I think that, like you said, I came as a pensionado. I was retired actually when I came here. And as a pensionado, I was not allowed to work, but I could run my own company. So which of course I ultimately ended up doing. But then they changed the laws and they said that now, even if you had your own company, you had to have a work permit, which was kind of contradictory to a pensionado visa in the first place. So they had to reconsider all that and review it. And long story short, I came on a pensionado, but today I have a work permit, and I'm not sure my status has changed. But at any rate, there's a lot of options and a lot of ways to become a resident here.
Yeah, and we've got lots of resources that we can connect people to answer all of those in-depth questions that we don't know the answer to. Great. Let's talk a little bit about the taxation system, because that's always a big thing, right? Do I have to pay taxes? What happens to my taxes when I'm coming from somewhere else? And Mike, I'm going to ask you to start on this one if you don't mind.
Okay, well, taxation in Panama is one subject, of course. It's the amount of tax that you pay on money that's earned in Panama. Panama does not tax you on money earned outside of Panama. However, where you come from has some impact on your tax exposure. So for instance, if you're from the United States taxes you on your worldwide income. However, it's not really double taxation, if you will, because you're credited for what the amount that you paid to Panama. So for instance, if you're working here in Panama and you're a resident of Panama, you can qualify, you can apply for an exemption in the United States for the first $110,000 or $112,000 that you make net. The reason I say 10 or 12 is because it goes up a little bit each year. It's a foreign earned income exclusion. So the first, like I say, 110 or 12,000 that you make net is not taxable in the United States. If you exceed that number and you have to pay tax to the US, you'll be credited for the amount that you already paid in Panama. Like Cynthia said, we're not lawyers or accountants, and I would definitely recommend, as it relates to taxation, that you consult with a Panamanian accountant as well as a US accountant. And figure out what's best for you for structure.
Thank you. And with that being said, Jazmin, part of what we were going to talk about is property taxes. So if someone does purchase property in Panama, how do the taxes there work?
The property taxes in Panama are actually very, very low. In fact, we have tax exemptions on properties, and the properties that are the first 120,000 value register of the property is always exempt forever. And that's something that can be transferred in the property to other owners. So also, if there is a property that you have registered, for example, in $200,000, the first $120,000 is exempt, and then the rest it will be between 0.5% to 1%, depends on higher the property value is. Okay, so and there is also incentive to retirees and investors, but it's very, very low. It's between 0.5% to 1% of the registered value of the property.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And we can go into further details on that later too, if somebody has any specific questions when we get to the question and answer part. So let's talk about popular investment regions. We talked about, we have beaches, we have mountains, we have cities. What do you guys see as some of the more popular areas for people who are coming to Panama? Jazmin?
Okay, we have Boquete, of course. Boquete is a mountain town, is with a cooler climate, in the highlands. We have, as I said before, we have access to fresh food, which people really like. Also, the fresh coffee. We have the biggest city close to us is David, which is 30 minutes driving from Boquete, and where you can find big stores, big also malls. There is also the main airport where you can fly from David to Panama City in 40 minutes to 1 hour. Also, we have Coronado, which is a beach community popular for vacation homes and retires. Actually is very close to Panama, so it has a proximity around like 1 hour and a half, right? Like, yeah, so it depends where you want to be, but those are very famous. Also, we have Panama City, which is more like a modern city, and then it has a strong rental market and business opportunities, business friendly environment for people that is coming from out of the country also, and giving you a lot of opportunities. So it's also good for commercial investments. So we have also Bocas del Toro, known as because it has the island style, and it's mostly for people that wants to be in a tranquil and place close to the jungle, close to wild animals also, and attracts vacation property buyers, and also people that want to invest in boutique resorts. So we have a very diverse real estate market here where people wants to come. So it depends where you want to go, but we have very good opportunities.
Very good. Mike, would you like to add anything to that?
Well, I think Jazmin pretty much nailed it. It's, really the most popular places. Like I said, I toured around the country for a couple of years, and Panama's endless beauty. I found myself jumping out of the van every other day thinking I'd found the most beautiful spot. But after a while, I started focusing more on infrastructure and amenities and things that people would be looking for, and pretty much came down to Panama City, the Gold Coast along the Pacific Beach coast here where I'm at today. Boquete, of course, was rated #1 in the world to retire for many years now. And then, there's a lot of people that like the Caribbean side. That's why they end up over in Bocas del Toro. That's over on the Caribbean. You can get there in an hour and a half from, actually less than that, from Panama City. So those are the places that most people gravitate to. Of course, there's areas like in the Azuero Peninsula, Pedicey, Boca Chica that people are starting to find out about. They're just a little bit ahead of the infrastructure and the amenities.
Very good. Thank you. Well, now that we know where we want to invest, can you talk a little bit about the process of buying property in Panama, including legal requirements and any associated costs, Jazmin?
Yes. Okay, so in the moment that you identify the property that you want to buy, the most important is that you hire a lawyer. So in this case, every time that we have buyers, we recommend them attorneys that we know that they are reliable and honest, and they will be finding solutions for the clients. So that's the most important. The attorney will have the essential work to engage, to start looking for investigating the properties, like if there is no encumbrances, licenses, the property has clear title, which is the most important. So when you hire the attorney, then you have a period of time to do the property due diligence, where he will start doing all those research. And then at the same time, what we always recommend is that while your attorney is doing that research, you make a house inspection in the house and you make a resurvey on the property. So that way, you know what's the status of the construction if you are getting a house, and also a resurvey to make sure that that's the same size that the owner says that is selling to you. So when you have that ready and everything is okay, then the attorney will draft, we have already a draft for the contract to sign. And that's the moment when you review also the other parties' review. So when everybody is agreed, you make a 10% down payment, which is the minimum. It can be also more, that's negotiable. And then you establish a closing time. So in the moment that you have the closing time ready, all the documents are ready from the seller to deliver to the buyer's attorney, then you sign, you make the down payment, the balance payment, and then you sign the deed, which will be transferred into your name. So basically those are the steps. And the legal requirements for foreigners to buy a property, actually you have kind of the same rights as locals. So it's just for the attorney to making sure that the property is registered in a correct way. And then the associated costs for the attorneys, it will depend. There is attorneys that had flat fees and they charge you extra if the property has to pay like extra taxes or things or solve problems and all that. Or there is attorneys also that they charge you between 1% to 2% of the registered value of the sale. So then the other associated cost for the seller will be the transfer tax, which is 2% and 3%, but that's paid by the seller. And for the buyer, the notary and registration fees. So it depends. So in both sides, for example, I can explain you, like for the seller, it will be transfer taxes, the attorney, and the real estate commission. And for the buyers will be the attorney, the legal fees from the attorney, and the notary and registration fees, which will be 0.5% to 1% of the property value. That's not too expensive.
What's a resolve?
A resurvey is, okay, when you are buying a property, let's say a house, and they say, okay, you are getting a quarter of an acre. So the resurvey is to make sure that you are getting actually the quarter of an acre that they are selling to you. It may be times where there is a difference on the size, and that can be negotiable with the seller before you sign the promissory contract.
Very good. Mike, before I ask my next question, do you have anything to add? Because I want to go into whether expats can get loans in Panama, and how do they normally pay for their properties?
Okay, no, really the only thing I think I might add is that when the buyer makes that, after they've done their due diligence, and then they're presented with that promise to purchase contract, which is the equivalent of escrow instructions in North America. When you hand over that 10% deposit, that money is non-refundable. So you want to make certain that you've done all of your due diligence, because when you hand that money, you won't see that back.
Okay, thank you for that. Jazmin, can I get a loan from a bank in Panama to buy property as an expat?
Yes, actually, there is a bank right now that is giving a lot of opportunity to expats to get loans. So The bank is Banesco, and if you want to know more about it, I can give you the contact information of the lady that is the manager of the branch that is helping expats to get loans. And yes, the interest rate is between 7% to 8%. So, but to go more further, so I prefer that the people, the clients interested, get in contact with the lady, because they have different benefits, depends of the different needs of the client.
Mhm.
Very good. Thank you. But that's encouraging.
Yes,
Because people always ask.
that's very
That was
neat.
yeah.
Actually, let me add something. We had a situation with a client that he came here just to get an idea of Boquete, and he found the house that he says, I cannot lose that house. So basically, he went to the lady, and now he's buying the house.
Very good. So we went to Banesco and was able to secure a loan. Very good. Yeah, that's encouraging. Very encouraging. All right. So we talked a little bit earlier about the healthcare system when Mike tried to take the top of his finger off. It had good results. And my husband and I both have a lot of experience with expats in the healthcare system down there. And I can't say enough. Not being there, I definitely miss it, because Mike, when you went to the doctor, you didn't even make an appointment. You just walked in the door. And, you know, I know when we were there, my husband had some extensive dental work done. And we had the dentist WhatsApp number, for those of you who, you know, it's your cell phone number that works internationally, and you can talk to anybody anywhere. If you don't have it, it's a great thing to download. It's a great way to stay in touch with all of your family and friends when you're not in the area. But they check on us. I mean, it was just phenomenal. And a lot of people say it's like healthcare was back in the 60s in the United States. So with that being said, can you guys tell us a little bit how that healthcare operates and what's available for expats and retirees or digital nomads or anybody who wants to come that's not a Panamanian? Jazmin?
Yes. Okay. We have both public and private healthcare here. Of course, the public one is more affordable, but you have to be prepared that you have to wait for long lines sometimes. But if we also have the private one, which is the one like Mr. Mike used when he had the accident with his finger, which is actually very, very affordable and is quickly. So you want to get a quickly service, you just go there and pay, but it's nothing compared like the prices that you would pay in United States. Also, there is insurance companies that they offer you a private insurance that covers the medical services, and they are very affordable too. So we can also refer them to you, that they can get you quotes for this kind of insurance. And then that way you don't have to be concerned that if you go there, you have to wait until the doctor is available, because you have a long line waiting for you. But we have both systems, so public and private, and they are very, very affordable.
Mike, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, as far as health insurance, it is a little bit limited, depending on your age. There are options here in Panama where you can get worldwide insurance, which really covers catastrophic kind of stuff. That would, like for me, if I had something catastrophic, I could fly back to the States if I chose to. But here in Panama, you can buy insurance direct with the hospital. So, for instance, if you decided to move to Boquete, you could go to David and go to the Chiriquí Hospital and purchase insurance from them. Of course, you'd have to go to them to get service. But you know, it's a little bit restrictive. After 70 years old, it gets very difficult to find health insurance here. So that's something that definitely is worthy of looking into prior to relocating to Panama, only to find out later that there's some challenges, but they're very solvable. I just joined Medicare just only in the last week or two. There are now 2 hospitals in David that are working with Medicare. So it's getting better, but right now it definitely is a little bit complicated.
Yeah, I'll all easy to figure out what works for you. And that
Definitely.
also, that determines sometimes where, if you're not looking for an investment property, but you're looking for something for yourself, one of the questions we ask, right? How close to healthcare do you need to be? Because, it's not like some of these places aren't 10 minutes down the street, depending on where you want to be. But
right.
as you can see in the picture, we have Hospital Punta Pacifica. And for those from the United States, we're familiar with Johns Hopkins University or Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area. And this particular hospital is affiliated with them. So it's probably one of the top-notch hospitals in Panama, which is located in Panama City. Again, my husband and I have experience with them, and I can't say enough positive things. My husband had some heart issues and got the top heart doctor in the area. And to this day, he still emails the doctor asking him questions. The doctor responds within usually an hour, and he never pays him anything. I'm like, oh my gosh, this poor guy. But it is such a different level of care in Panama than it is in the United States. I mean, when you tell people that, I think they think you're making up stories, but it's very, very amazing. And like I said, I can't say enough positive things. And I know you guys probably feel the same way as well. So, and
Yeah,
we
actually,
can ask.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Actually, the day after I saw the doctor for my finger, the following day, I got a phone call and I looked down and I saw it was him. And I thought I knew $17 was too good to be true. I thought he was calling me to tell me that. But he was just calling me to see if everything was okay, if I was in any pain, if there was anything else he could do for me. I know that for, all my life in the US, I never had a doctor call up and follow up like that. So I was pretty impressed.
Yes.
Apparently that's not unusual.
Very complex. It just reminds one last example. We had some young friends, because Panama, when we first got there, it was mostly retirees and expats. But now we talked earlier about living in a digital world, and we have a lot of younger families. So we're going to get into the school systems. But one of my young friends, where was she? I can't remember what country she was from in Europe, but she was pregnant, and she was driving from Panama City back to the beach. And by the time she got home, the doctor had called to make sure that she had made it home safely. I'm like, who ever heard of that, right? So it was amazing. So with that, let's move on to what are some of the common challenges that expats face when they're relocating to Panama, and how can they be overcome? Jazmin?
Okay, I would say the language. The language is one of the challenges. The good thing is that here in Panama, everywhere you go, there is always somebody that speaks English and that is able to help you. And also we have a lot of small schools that teach Spanish to expats. And in the moment that you get into the community, you get involved with Panamanians also on expatriates, you start also getting more communication. So it depends if you want or you don't want to learn Spanish, you will be always find a solution, because everybody, everywhere there is basically somebody that speaks English and is always able to help. We really like to help everybody. So we like to service everybody. So that's something that when people come here, they are in shock, like, oh, I don't understand. But then in the moment that they start looking and even trying to talk or use your phone to translate, you will find out that all Panamanians will be more than happy to help you. So that's one thing. And also, let me see, the time. Our culture in Panama, we are very relaxed on time. So that's something that you have to be ready. So here in Panama, let me give you an example. If we have a Christmas party where you are invited and we say 7 o'clock, you go there at 7 o'clock and nobody, just the owner of the house will be there. So like 1 hour or 2 hours later, people will start arriving. So we are very relaxed on time. So that's something that you have to be prepared. For me, that's actually what I see, the expats, it's a little bit more challenging for them. But other than that, I think, I don't know if Mr. Mike wants to add something else, but for me, that's the main things.
Yeah, I really found that for me, I came here type A. In many ways, I still am, but I found pretty early on that I had to dial my expectations back. Not that the Panamanian culture was good or bad or right or wrong. It was definitely different. And either I had to adapt or always be frustrated and upset. And I found that since I've adapted and kind of dialed it back, I'm a lot less stressed. I don't expect it to happen, whatever it is, to happen right this minute or to go exactly the way I expect it to go. So I guess in a nutshell, when you come to Panama, it's a good idea to bring an open mind and some patience. And it'll get a lot easier, a lot easier. Yeah. And maybe that's why
Yeah.
that's why the Latin culture is the way it is. They enjoy life. We tend to be chasing after superfluous things, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the part of that is like what's your list? Why is it that you are looking to relocate to Panama, right? Is it a lifestyle thing? Is it, it's a great investment thing? But Panama in the past has been voted happiest country in the world to live in as well,
Yeah.
too. So it is, I think there's so many hidden features that until you actually get there, you don't realize. And I didn't, when I was there, I didn't want for anything. My husband didn't learn any Spanish. He was very good at charades. And to Jasmine's point, is everybody's very, very patient because we always worry about how do they look at us, right? As we're coming in as expats in another country. And I travel a lot, so I'm always cognizant of that as well and trying to learn at least a few words, thank you and please, so you can at least show some of your manners. So that's probably the two biggest things is the language and just recognizing that that's not the lifestyle that you live in and probably in Europe and the United States. It's a lot more low key. So thank you for sharing that. We talked a little earlier about some of the weather but just to reiterate, we had some folks that jumped on a little later. So what is the weather like, Jazmin, in Panama?
We have in Panama, it's a tropical climate weather. So we have two seasons. We have dry season. Well, not dry. Summer season and rainy season, which we call green season. So summer season is basically since December to April, and since May to November is green season or rainy season. It depends where you are located. For example, if you are in the highlands, it's a little bit more cooler, and also in the lowlands, it's a little bit more warmer. So it can be between 75 Fahrenheit to 90 Fahrenheit. That will be between 24 Celsius to 32 Celsius. It depends where you are located. If you are located closer to the ocean, it's more warmer over there. But if you are in the mountains, then it's more fresh. It depends where you want to be. So I think it's very good when you come to Panama that you identify where you want to be. And then experiment the weather. This weather is awesome. Here we don't have to buy clothes for snow or change the tires of the car. We don't have that expenses at all. So we are the same all the time. You want to add something else, Mr. Mike?
Well, I mean, again, as I drove around the country for a couple of years, it's a very, very diverse country. And it really, like you said, it depends on your flavor. If you want to be on the Caribbean, it's there. If you want to be in the city, there's a very, very vibrant lifestyle in the city.
Yeah.
There's the old city, which is very historical. And there's the beaches and where Jazmin is right now in the highlands, which is also my favorite. Because of the temperature. It's about 70 degrees year round. And it's either 70-ish and dry or 70-ish and wet. And it's about 50-50. So the weather here is very, very they're very nice. I like it here a lot. No matter where I am, really. It's a little warmer here at the beach, but when I get to the highlands, it's perfect.
Well, when you guys say wet, what does that mean? Like, does it rain all day, every day during rainy season, or what am I looking at here?
Usually in the beginning of the rainy season, it might rain for an hour in the afternoon. And then as we progress, it turns into 2 hours or 3 hours. And as we get further into the rainy season, it might rain for half the day. It might rain for the whole day. But oddly enough, the ground here absorbs it very quickly. Like it can just pour rain. Where the golf course behind my house is completely soaked, and the next day I can go play golf and it's dry. So though it may rain a lot of inches, it doesn't really impact us too significantly unless it's, the middle of the rainy season.
Okay, very good. We may have some further questions about that. No hurricanes and no tornadoes. Yay!
Yeah,
Especially
blessed.
those in the US, we've seen some real devastation here lately, and it's continuing to take a while for it to get resolved. So moving to Panama, networks and resources. What do I have there that can help me? I'm hitting the ground and I don't know anybody, or I only know you guys. Where can you lead me? What kind of things are there to do there? What is it I should first do when I land?
Well, there is expat community groups that we can recommend the clients, and also there are also online expat community groups where you can join them, and you will find groups to have happy hours. You will find groups to go and talk about books. Depends what you want to do, but also there is a local organizations and associations like the Panama American Chamber of Commerce. Also, the real estate agents can help you, with experience to guide you where you want to go, what you want to do with the regulations and market and all that. But for social, it's very good that you, as a newcomer, you start joining the expat community groups like on Facebook. There is different groups, depends where you want to be. There is in Panama City, in the beach, also in Coronado, Bocas del Toro, Boquete, everywhere. So over there, you can see everything that they are sharing all the time, their experiences. And if you need a recommendation, where to find these, how I engage with a real estate agent or a doctor or something like that, they will tell you all the stories right away. And then you will be able to pick up somebody that you feel comfortable with it.
Okay. Did I hear anything about happy hours?
Yeah. One of the things that we do when we engage with clients is we try to get them integrated into the community that they're interested in. So we do host happy hours in several different locations. And it's a good opportunity for us to introduce current clients to past clients and people that would be useful for them to know in the community. So we try to make that happen for them. In addition to all the different clubs and things that Jazmin mentioned, there's so many things to immediately get to meet the community. Of course, it's a small country, and most of the places that you select are small. So it doesn't take long to attend a couple of social events, or a hiking group, or a tennis group, or a golf group, or pickleball. There's so many things now that you very quickly will get acclimated to the community and the people in it.
Yeah, pickleball is very popular everywhere, and I think I just saw that, was it Jinxie just won something, or some international pickleball something from Panama?
They went to Peru, and yeah, Jinky won one of her. The Panamanian group actually did very, very well.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's everything.
To do, right?
Yeah, there's cards, and there's bocce, and there's. So you can be as active or not as you want. Lots of volunteer things. It's always spay the strays or helping local communities, the local Panamanian communities. I mean, anything you can think of, there's an opportunity for it. And if not, then I always tell people, then it's your opportunity to start it. So
Right.
there's networking
Speaking of that,
groups as well.
I'm really impressed with how many people came here and midlife decided to start getting healthy. And I think Karen's kind of started it off, right? Next thing you know, they're running, riding bicycles and swimming, and they're in triathlons. And it's like, to me, that's amazing. All these people that we know that came here in the middle of their life and decided to take on those endeavors. And today they're doing triathlons. That's, to me, that's amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah, we've seen some really cool stuff for sure.
And the size
So
of the
with
group. I don't know.
yeah. Well, the whole country has its
Yeah, amazing.
yeah. And if you notice in the background on this particular page, it's the Panama Canal, which a lot of people may or may not be familiar with.
Mhm.
So one last question before we open it up to questions, and one of them is the economy of Panama. And so I bring that up because the Panama Canal is probably one of the backbones of the economy. Jazmin or Mike, one of you two would like to talk about the economy in Panama?
Yes, okay, here, the Panama Canal, because we are in the middle of America, it helps, it has a lot of maritime traffic, so that brings a lot of a good income to Panama also. I don't know if you want to add something else, Mr. Mike?
Well, the economy here is pretty robust. The GDP is very good compared to all the other Latin countries. Since I've been here, it's really been very steady growth right up until, of course, COVID. But now, a couple of years post-COVID, Panama is definitely climbing back and is once again very strong in the Latin American region. In fact, our GDP is probably very desirable from many countries. And like you touched on, the canal is just an amazing economic engine that really just keeps on going. In the worst of times, like through COVID and the recent drought, that canal just kept on producing revenue for Panama. So I think Panama economically is really a good pick, and the future looks very bright.
Very good. Thank you. All right, we are going to open it up for questions now. I know we are interested in knowing if anybody has been in Panama before. Some of you may already be in Panama, but with a show of hands, would you guys just show us who's been to Panama before? We've got some people that aren't on, so it's a tough one. All right. With that, if you guys would like to ask some questions, just remember to unmute yourselves and we will take questions at this point. If you want to just raise your hand. Stephen, would you like to ask a question?
Sorry, I was raising my hand for being in Panama before. Well, actually, I've not actually set foot in the country, but I have traveled through the Panama Canal quite a few years ago.
Perfect.
I think it was in the mid-1990s. I used to be in the Royal Navy, and the Royal Navy always have a presence in the Caribbean. They call it the WIGS deployment, which stands for the West Indies Guardship. And while we were over there, we traveled through the Panama Canal and then went up the west coast of America all the way up to Canada.
Very nice.
Interesting.
But other than that, we've only been in the airport in transit when we went to Costa Rica a few years ago.
Yeah.
But we're coming this year. We're coming in 2025. Me and my wife.
Good.
We're coming to check it out because I'm eligible for my military and fire service pension. I was able to retire early, so I meet the requirement for the pensionado visa. And I was just after more information on that really with this call, because we're gonna like Mike, we're gonna like tour the country maybe for a few years, see what it's like under the pensionado visa before we would commit to buying a property.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Mhm.
Sorry, Jazmin. With that, I was going to talk about, you bring up a good point, Stephen, because Panama is the hub of the Americas. So in order to get to a lot of the other countries, you have to first go through Panama. So we have a lot of flights in and out. They just opened the second airport right within Panama City. So we've seen a lot of really positive growth and changes in Panama. Sorry, Jazmin, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask him when he's coming in next year.
Yeah, we're looking at probably coming over just after the new year. So it'll be sometime mid-January.
So it will be summer season. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, what our plans would probably to come to the summer season there, and your rainy season is obviously our summer season over in the UK. So that would work perfectly for us. That's kind
wonderful.
of like what we're looking at the moment. Just a question. We're not sure about whether we need a return flight when we come into Panama, because we don't know how long we're going to stay for. Do I need a return ticket when I come in to apply for the pensionado visa? Or I understand we get 180 days. Is that correct?
That is correct. However, when you purchase your ticket to come to Panama, you will need to show that you have a ticket to leave.
Right, okay. So we can maybe get a flexible return ticket.
Yeah, well, yeah. Flexible, I assume you mean that you can cancel it or change the
Yeah.
date.
Yeah, I think the airlines, they can charge you a little bit more, but you then
Yeah.
have the option to be able to change it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah.
Yeah, and it will be, you'll need to have, I think it's at least 6 months on your passport as well.
That's correct.
6 months
Yeah.
left before it expires. Yeah.
Yeah, we looked at that. My wife has to apply for a new passport. I'm okay at the moment, but she needs to get a new one.
Yeah. Thank you. Swana, do you have a question? You're muted if you'd like to ask a question. Also, one of the things while we're waiting for her is we didn't talk about what is some of the costs of real estate in Panama. So what am I looking at it range wise? Like if I want a condo in the city, a condo at the beach, a condo in Boquete, or if I want a single family house, what am I looking at in terms of costs for those? Average.
Well, like everywhere, that really depends on where. You know, like we said, Panama is very diverse, so you could get as low as, geez, $60,000 to $80,000 for a condo, up to 7 figures. And
Yes.
of course, it really depends on where it is and how big it is and what kind of quality. It's really hard to give you a, you know, I would say that our buyers, North American buyers, or even the Europeans that come, they typically wind up in the 250 on up range. There are buyers who move, you know, further out from the core, and they're, you know, they might be half that.
So what you're saying is no matter what my budget is, you can help me out with that. It
If you're
depends on what
flexible-
your lifestyle.
Yeah, if you're flexible on your geographic location.
Yes.
I mean, you can't be beachfront and, you know, buy $100,000 condo beachfront. But if you look around, you could probably, you know, further out from the core, you could get real close.
Dan, did you have a question?
Yeah, I actually had a couple. Do you recommend renting first before buying?
Typically, yes, just to make sure that the area that you think you like, 6 months later, you still like it.
Right. Well, I'm from Florida, so I'm kind of we have the same weather here as down there.
Okay.
I mean, it pretty much same kind of thing with the rain. We get rain every afternoon somewhere, about an hour, could last all day. I've joined a couple groups on Facebook, and I'm looking at like where you're at in Coronado, Padasi. I did take a look at Bocas del Toro, but it seems like it's kind of remote there.
It's a really good example. Like I say, some places are more remote. That's a bit, Bocas del Toro is a bit over the river and through the woods to get there.
Right.
But once you get there, it's, it's the Caribbean. It's spectacular. There's less amenities, less infrastructure.
Right. Now, how about pets? Bringing your pets over. How does that work? Is that a challenge or?
It's not, it's a lot of paperwork, And again, you'll need your patience. And for whatever it's worth, of course, nobody wants to abandon their pets. I came here without any pets, and today I've got 2 dogs and a cat, and it's almost an obligation to adopt a dog or a cat when you get here. They're everywhere.
Okay. Now, what on I know some countries, I can't remember if it was the DR or Costa Rica, I saw, if you do, because they have a similar thing with the visa, the pensionado visa, when you're allowed to bring X amount of stuff import without having to pay duty on it. How does that work in Panama?
That's you just kind of touched on it. If you're in the right program, the pensionado. Last time I checked, I think it was $10,000 a year that you could bring over. I would check with a lawyer because those things change all the time. But there is an amount that you can bring without any duty or tax as a pensionado. But again, check to clarify how much that is and what the process is, because like I say, things change.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I see that Carly texted that she's got some questions.
Yeah, it looks like Edwin has his hand up too. So
Oh, I
let's
can't
start
see
with
the hands.
Carly.
I'm sorry. You were smart. You texted, but that's okay. Not to
Yeah,
say.
we'll start with Carly, then we'll go to Edwin, and I think Stephen, you have another question as well. Okay, so let's go to Carly.
Okay.
Just remember to unmute yourself when you're asking questions. Carly, are you still on? There you are. What are your questions? Okay.
Thank you, Andrea. She left.
Okay. Edwin?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, lovely. I'm on my desktop. I have no camera, so. Yeah, my first question, and Jazmin, you may be better for this because I'm curious about the Boquete region. I've never, again, like Stephen, I've not set foot in Panama. I've not even been close. Been down to, I have been close because I was in, oh my gosh, I can't think of the country. That's 2 countries north of you guys. But anyways, I was doing some scuba diving in the Caribbean. And I'm curious about the Boquete region and, what are the prices of, residential homes there? And what's the likelihood and or the complications of buying something with, land attached to it? I'm thinking specifically about the coffee business, and I may have a follow-up question or 2.
Okay. Okay. So the cost of the residences here, it depends where you want to be. If you want to be in a gated community, if you want to be close to town, or you want to be far from town. So, but it depends. A single home family that is not in a gated community, that you can get like 2 bedrooms, up to 3 can be between 250,000 to 500,000. Depends the size of the land also. There is a lot of factors that it will affect the price, but depends exactly like what you are looking for. If you want, you can be in contact with us later, and I can send you some options that you can start looking how they look. For example, we have in most of our listings, we have videos of the houses, and you can get a better feeling how the house is, where it's located, what is around, everything.
Okay. So I guess, the follow-up would be to that is Boquete like on the cusp of the coffee growing region?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And so I don't know anything about the industry there besides I know it exists, and I don't see the, if you want to call it Panamanian coffee in our area of the world. We see all other sorts of, types of places represented here. Honduras, which is where I was, by the way, Colombian coffee, that sort of thing, but I've never actually seen that. So I don't know, how big the growing region is, what kind of demand it's in. It sounds like the coffee is very good, which is wonderful. But I'm just curious to know like what's the cost of like acreage in the area specifically to do with like, coffee commercial, type of land.
There's a couple of different ways to go there. And like you said, you're not seeing Panama coffee there. I think that historically, most of the Panama coffee farms are kind of artisanal. They're smaller. So they sell their coffee to brokers who maybe white label the coffee. So it doesn't necessarily say, unless you look real close, perhaps, where it's from. But I'm seeing a bit of a shift. I think that, like you said, you're interested in coffee. It didn't sound like you've done it before. I'm seeing people come from other countries with maybe knowledge on different ways to do things, more technology, perhaps an infusion of more cash. So I'm seeing things kind of trending towards bigger and more modern. And I think that the coffee industry in Boquete and in Panama is going to change a little bit to get more sophisticated. So, as far as somebody like yourself sticking your toe in the water, so to speak, you could either buy a piece of land and just start from scratch. You could purchase a farm from somebody that is on their way out, and you bring in new technology and money and do it a different way, or maybe improve it or somehow change what they're doing. Or perhaps, you could partner, again, bringing in technology and money and partnering up with somebody that has a farm that is looking to get to the next level. So you have options. It just really depends on where you see yourself fitting.
I apologize about my vicious Westie in the background. She's fly chasing right now. So, so my follow-up question to that was, and this may be a little specific, we could probably take it offline, but I was wondering what the job market was like in the Phuket region. Do they have schools, universities, like what's happening there as opposed to like, say, the Panama City area?
Well, here here in Boquete, we have private and public schools, and also we have one branch of the big university in Panama is the public one. But in David, which is like 30 minutes driving from Boquete, we have a bunch of private universities too.
I think he's looking for employment opportunities. Is that correct?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, for either myself and or my wife. Right.
Okay.
Very tricky to come here and work per se. You can own a business and provide a service. But to work as a teacher, there are many professions in Panama that are protected for Panamanians only. There are like everything, there's ways around things, but to come here and make money in education, you pretty much have to open a school. Because the school teachers here don't make enough money that would probably not enough to attract you, unless you were looking to volunteer and
Sure.
Things like that. But for you to just come here and go to a school and have them hire you as a teacher is a pretty tricky endeavor. Not impossible, but complicated.
Understood. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and I guess that pretty much answers my question there. I would add that my wife had she had been an applicant for the King's College there in Panama City for one of their positions, and I don't know if that was because it's more of an international school. I think it's a private school, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, like I say, there are avenues. It's just a little bit complicated, and it kind of limits your options, right? But private schools would definitely be one of the options.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Edwin. Stephen.
You are on mute, Stephen.
Yeah. Typical. Yeah, talking about the pensionado visa, could you recommend any attorneys that could help us out with that process? I understand there's quite a number of them that can do it. there's a range of prices I've seen as well. What do you think we would likely have to pay? And you know, is it worth going for the cheaper one, or do you get a better service if you pay a little bit more money?
That's a really good question. I would recommend that you talk to at least 2, maybe 3 attorneys.
We can give you the recommendations and you
Yeah,
pick
we definitely make
interview
recommendations.
them. You interview them. Mhm.
Yeah, but I would talk to 2 or 3 of them and you know, see who you get a warm fuzzy from and make sure the price structure is agreeable with you. But for the most part, they're all very much the same. It's a very competitive residency for attorneys, a pretty competitive arena. And you'll find that most of the expense associated with that are actually governmental fees. So the attorneys aren't getting rich off of
Okay.
immigration.
Great. And just a question about Boquete. So the nearest city is David, and
Yes.
that's roughly about 30 minutes away, did you say?
Yes.
How does that compare in terms of size and amenities to Panama City?
It's smaller, but it's growing very fast. So, you know, in 5 years, maybe the same or even bigger.
Right.
We have, yeah, there is a lot of commercial investors that are coming to David right now. We are having a lot of new malls. There is a lot of infrastructure happening also. American shops are coming, you know, so yeah, it's growing very fast, to be honest with you. Very, very fast, which is good because you have a lot of amenities here that you wasn't able to find like 10 years ago. So it's happening like this.
Just one final question. How expensive are the internal flights? So say from Panama to David, how much would you have to pay for that?
It depends. It will be, I would say, between $79 to $120, depend. Like you are bringing the bigger suitcases and all that.
Okay.
But that's the range. There is a new airline that is called Wingo, which actually belongs to Copa Airlines, but it's very cheap. Actually, costs $30 per way,
Wow.
but they just fly twice per week. So they fly every Friday and every Sunday. So everybody that is looking for those flights, they have to make reservations ahead, and then you can get those very good prices. It's called Wingo. So
Wingo.
yeah, we can provide you more information also later. Mhm.
Great.
Thank you. Great questions, everybody. Thank you for asking. Do we have any more questions from anybody?
I've just thought of another one actually, if there's nobody else that wants to jump in.
Go ahead.
Okay, so as I say, my wife and I are coming over in January. We're probably gonna be for three months, probably minimum. So we're gonna be renting. So what do you think would be our best course of action? Is it Airbnbs or are they private rentals, things like that? We do want to move about, but we'd like to spend maybe, I don't know, maybe a month in 3 different areas.
For long-term rentals, it's very difficult to find like 1 month, like month per month. Usually we have the minimum as a real estate agency. We have the minimum for 6 months in rentals. So what I recommend you want to do like 1 month by 1 month is Airbnb, or if you are lucky to have you know, the information for somebody that will rent you per month, we can help you with that. Yeah, to see, we can ask our owners to see there is somebody that wants to rent for 1 month, but it's not basically when it's per month, they don't put it with the agencies, with real estate agents. They just go through Airbnb.
Okay, yeah, I thought that might be the case.
And depending on what time of year you're coming, like if you're coming in the high season, I would
They're coming in the high
encourage
season. They're coming in January.
Yeah, so I would encourage you to book it now.
Yeah, it's better.
Okay.
Yeah, rentals in Boquete are a little thin, so you want to make sure you get on that now.
Yeah, and also something very
that's
important before you come, you have to know that in January we have the Coffee and Flowers Festival, which is amazing. So that's
Right.
why you have to make the reservations ahead now.
Is that for the whole country?
No, it's from Boquete.
In Boquete. Okay. Coffee and Flowers Fair. When does that start?
It's in January. I need to check the dates, but it's for 1 week.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
1 week, 2 weekends. Mhm.
2 weekends. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
It looks like Carly is back.
Okay. Stephen, as for the rentals with regard to what we consider high season, right? So think about it as the North American winter, snowbirds that are flying south. So
Yeah.
it gets very booked up January to basically the end of March.
yeah.
So and we will reach out. We have everybody's email, so I'm taking notes, and we'll reach out and help you guys any way possible. You should have received an email from me that also has your buying and flipping in Panama attached to it. If you have not received that, that was sent just before we got on. Reach out to me so I can send that again, and I can answer any questions with that email. But we will be following up with you as well, because we definitely want to help you. And as you can tell, we love Panama, so
Yeah, of course.
we want to bring all the folks to here. So Carly, if you're back on, do you have some questions, please? Okay. No,
Maybe she's
we have
probably-
anybody else with questions?
Yeah, Mr. Dan has questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
thought
don't
of it-
know, maybe just 1 second.
Go
Dan.
ahead.
With Carly,
Go ahead.
I don't know if maybe if you're trying to ask them if your microphone is not working, maybe you could just type them in here, because if you're speaking, I know you're unmuted. We are not hearing you. And we definitely want to answer your questions. Okay, Dan?
Yeah, just one quick question. We were talking about rental property. I was wondering if, say we found something we like long term, do you deal with property that if, okay, we really like this property, where the owners would do like not rent to own, but something of that nature, where like we could have the option to buy at some point.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That was all I had.
Audio?
Good question. Carly, are you available to talk? Ask your questions?
Hi, are you getting our audio?
There you go. Yes, we are. Thank you.
Great, thank you. It's Graham and Carly from Durban.
Hola.
Welcome.
Thank you. We're just interested in the entrance requirements. Being a age gap couple, so I'm a little bit older than Carly, and just what difficulties could we have with getting into the country?
Are you working, I guess?
Difficulties
Can you
regarding what?
Visa requirements as an older person, and work opportunities as well.
There's no real limit on the ages for the visa. However, the work to come, again, we kind of touched on that. Maybe you missed that part, but to come here and get a job is challenging. If you wanted to come here and start a business, I think you said you're from Durban.
Yes.
We've worked with countless South Africans that have come here and established businesses, because they, like I say, they're not going to have an employer-employee relationship, and they likely wouldn't be interested in working for Panamanian wages. So they open up a business. So lots of South Africans have come here and opened many businesses.
Okay, thank you.
Edwin, do you have another question?
Yeah, I've got a follow-up. You
Okay.
mentioned, I think it was Mike that mentioned that rentals are slim, specifically in Boquete. Is there demand? Is there a reasonable assumption that, if somebody were to purchase an investment as an Airbnb, that there might be demand for it?
Absolutely.
Are there property management groups that would handle that? Thank you.
Yes to both. Yes.
And that's one of the things that Inside Panama, which is Jazmin and Mike, can help you with, because Mike's been doing a lot of investing and Jazmin's working with investors. So like anywhere in the world, Airbnb has really taken off. And it depends on the time of year that you're looking to come to Panama with regard to what's available to rent and not rent.
Yes.
But all different kinds of options all across the country. We talked about Pedicee. Playa Vinao is very popular for surfing, so that gets very busy at different times of the year. Like Jazmin was talking about the flower festival, which is really cool. So Panama has a lot of different opportunities for international folks to come and hang out and things to do. Seems like every day there's something fun and exciting that's going on that's been added to the agenda. So
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Jazmin.
And Airbnb here is very, very, is getting very good. So for example, right now, this weekend, there is Panamanian holidays. Everything will be packed with people coming and staying, on the weekend. So if you want to do an investment in Airbnb, that's amazing because you will make a lot of money. And also, there is also some agents that are part of the company that they do property management, and there is people that do that. So we will be able to recommend you somebody that we know and we can recommend highly.
Very good.
I
Thank
have
you.
one more question.
Sure.
With regards to, so we have a 5-year-old son and we are homeschooling him. Is there any, is Panama very strict with homeschooling? Do they allow it? What's that like?
They allow homeschooling, yes.
There's quite a
Okay,
bit,
awesome.
actually. The South Africans, again, a lot of them go that route. A
Yeah.
lot of the foreigners do because I guess the kids are a little bit hesitant to jump into Spanish-speaking schools. I think that, of course, the kids learn so much faster. The sooner they dive in and start learning, the better. But I see that a lot of the South Africans and a lot of expats tend to homeschool in the beginning.
Okay. We'll definitely long term, he's already being homeschooled, so long term, the goal is to continue with that. I had one more question with regards to so a couple years ago we were looking at not Montenegro, Georgia to immigrate to. And one of the things that came up that ultimately stopped us, which is a bit controversial, but for us personally, we would have to vaccinate our child fully in order for him to be integrated and to live there. And that was a problem for us. So what is that like over there if you choose not to?
Jazmin, I'm not certain. I've
No,
never heard of a requirement like
Could you
that.
repeat again the question? Sorry, I'm having troubles here.
Wants to know if
Sorry.
any requires that children be fully vaccinated to enter the country.
Who is asking that?
Charlie is
Ali.
one. Carly wants to know if
Uh-huh.
children have to be fully vaccinated to come into the country and go to school.
No, that's not a requirement. No,
So, but I wasn't positive.
no.
Oh, awesome. Okay, thank you.
Now here we are very flexible on that, so you don't have to be vaccinated, So that's up to the parents, up to the people.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
Very good. Do we have any other questions? We want to make sure we hit all of them before we go.
Somebody's asking something here in the chat.
About the bank?
Okay.
They're doing,
Yeah.
All right. Edwin, so is the bank who you've recommended for expats also good for investments, 20 to 25% down?
Well, typically for a foreigner to obtain financing from a local bank, the minimum down payment is 30%. So right off the hop, we're off by a little bit there, but if you put 30% down, if you're with the right bank, and Jazmin, like she said earlier, she has a good recommendation. you'll likely be okay.
Very good. Okay. Any
I
other
have a
last?
question.
Yep, go ahead.
What about off-grid living? Is there a possibility of that?
In terms
Yes.
of safety, because over here in South Africa we have like farm murders. So a lot of the people that are living out in the countryside and off grid, it's quite dangerous because there are people that go and literally murder farmers for no
Mhm.
real reason.
I've met hundreds of them. But the answer to your question is, overall, Panama is a relatively very safe country. And when you're off grid, further out in the boondocks, so to speak, it's really, really peaceful. It's mostly farmers. It's very, very quiet.
That's nice.
And it's not, I'm familiar with what happens in South Africa. We're nowhere near that.
That's awesome. Okay, that's nice to know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask another
Okay.
question?
Or
Sure.
Uh, business opportunities. You spoke about that's the way to go for an expat. What are good avenues to get into there?
Maybe you should say what you actually currently doing.
Yeah, that's better.
Over that.
What is it? What's your background?
I'm qualified in mechanical engineering, and I have my own generator company, industrial generators.
Okay. So that's kind of a specialized field. And in Panama, there is room for people like yourself that have a specialized field to actually contradict what I said earlier, have that employer-employee relationship, because you bring a skill that may be limited here in Panama. So if you have a skill that is limited, there are definitely employment opportunities. Or the other option is to open up a business that provides a service doing what you do. Like I say, many South Africans have come here and started, I know they're really big in their braais. So there's lots of them now doing meat options. They're offering all sorts of jerky and meats. And there's somebody that works for us whose husband came with the grinding wheels that cut metal. He happened to have a better wheel than anybody had seen in Panama up until that time. So right away, his business took off like a rocket. One thing, I was not exposed to South Africans really until they started coming to Panama, and I got exposed to quite a few of them. And I was really amazed at how industrious they are and how many things that they can do and do. I didn't know they were boat builders and things like that. So there's lots of opportunities here for people with skills, and whether that's working for somebody or starting your own business, service related, it tends to work best.
Okay, thank you.
I think our main concern. So my husband Graham is well, he's not 60, he's 59. But if I may add, a very young 59. He's still, hockey player, gym, you name it. And my concern, like our concern around that, after doing some research, is like you can't get in some countries after 55, for example, with a work visa.
I don't have that issue.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's really cool. Okay.
Not for visas. The only issue that I'm aware of was always when you went for a mortgage, the max age you could be would be 75, right? So if you were 65 looking for a mortgage, you got a 10-year mortgage.
Right. That's right. That's a
Yes.
good.
Mm.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
That's I think like Graham said, we're young. Well, we are a young family. Me and my son. So there's a lot of, there's many years still to come. So Graham is not, neither of us obviously are near retiring anytime soon. But we looked at New Zealand as an option, but that was before he was 55, and then something happened and that fell through, and now that's not an option anymore because he can't get in on a work visa after 55. And then Panama, which was also on our list like quite a few years back, it just popped up again. So that's kind of what's led us to this discussion here on this Zoom meeting is actually doing some research on Facebook and Google and whatever, and then finding this.
Well, it's a good idea for you to really thoroughly research it, because my experience with the South Africans, with your currency different, when you convert, it's so expensive for you that
Yeah.
it's really important to do a lot of research, because once you come here and spend quite a lot of money moving a family here, going back to South Africa is probably not an attractive option. So wherever you pick, you want to really do your homework, which sounds like you're doing. I think you'll find Panama is a pretty good option and a good fit, mostly because, like you said, you found obstacles in many countries. Panama, like I said earlier, is one of the easiest places in the world to get residency if you qualify. And South Africa, of course, you qualify for the friendly nation visa.
Oh, nice.
Most of the other things are resolvable for
nice.
your skill set.
Okay. And is
Yeah,
is
getting a
photography
driver's
like
license is easy.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Is there a big market for photographers? For photography? Is that like a big thing over there?
Well, the short answer is yes. However, not likely for the same amount of money that you might be accustomed to, depending on. We have several photographers that work for us, and then they had to adjust to Panama wages.
Yes.
So yes, there's a market for it, but maybe not
Okay.
as lucrative as perhaps other areas.
And you make different type of works, like weddings, parties, this kind of thing, then you can have more opportunities. But if you are just focused to one thing, it will be more difficult. We
Right.
have a photographer that he does also like weddings, events, and
Yes.
anything you need. And then also he does real estate.
Oh, yes. Okay. I do actually, I'm in a very niche market. I do birth photography.
See, but if you start doing another things, like, for example, real estate or restaurants, things like that, if you learn how to do it and you start doing that, you will open more your opportunities.
Doors. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's true.
We see a lot of folks that are remote workers as well, right?
Yeah.
Where they're living in Panama, but they're working online for other companies around the world. And that's, again, what we talked about, this digital thing, that you don't necessarily, especially our teachers, have to be working in a school in Panama. You could be teaching English as a second language or working for a university somewhere else in the world. So keep that, think largely, not just locally. What are some of the options of things that you could do? I mean, a mechanical engineer, I don't know what's your speciality is, Graham, but there's possibility you could still work online for someone else and live in Panama.
Okay.
Good questions, really good questions.
And
we're happy
Mike,
that
if
we
I can just,
could be here. Sure.
I'm going to squeeze in another one there for you, put your hot seat. Is it complicated to open up a business there?
Well, I guess opening a business anywhere is complicated. My advice, because I've seen many people come here and start businesses, and is to have a really good plan. Plan your work your plan. Most of the time when I see people come here and start a business, if it doesn't work, it's usually because it wasn't very well thought out, or there wasn't enough operating capital to get them on their feet. It's usually this, similar reasons why things fail.
Yes.
Might have been a bad idea to begin with, who knows? I think that, I get it. When you get here, you don't have a lot of time to start earning money before things get a little bit bleak. So you really want to research and make sure that whatever you're spending that money on to get established is well spent and well researched, so that it doesn't evaporate all for naught. But with your skill set, I'm pretty confident that you're gonna be in a pretty good shape.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, we've seen that happen before, because the question is definitely, we have great ideas about what we think businesses should be, but we have to know our audience.
Right.
And that is so important. We had a gentleman who dumped a lot of money. I think he was from Argentina or Brazil or something, and opened a restaurant. And I think he died within the first couple months, because it wasn't something that the expats were interested in, or the Panamanians were interested in. It was unfortunate, because he had spent a ton of money remodeling this restaurant. So before, come with your idea, but do your research, look around, see what's needed, what has been here. I mean, Jazmin and Mike are a wealth of information with regard to what they see, who they can put you in contact with, how they can help you with your next adventure in Panama or somewhere around the world, because it is for a lot of people, it's a big move. And if you have limited funds, then you definitely, like Mike said, you don't want to lose all of those in a short amount of time. So that's why we're doing the webinar, and we're glad you guys are here. We will be able to give you the link to go back and watch it, or to share it with whoever, but we will reach out and give you some additional information. If we don't have any more questions, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. But if we do, we're happy to take them. And does anybody have any more? Nope. Very good. All right. So let's look at what we talked about today. So what makes Panama attractive? We went over some of the visas, the taxation system, some popular investment regions, the buying process, the healthcare system, the education system, some resources and networks for you. And we had some really great questions and answers. You guys are thinking of a lot of really great things. So we want to continue to stay in touch. As I said, if you haven't received your buying and flipping property in Panama, reach out to me so I can send it again. But Panama has lots of options. And for more information, you can reach out to me at cynthia@laymanteam.com. But I also will get you in touch with Inside Panama Real Estate. And they will help you with tours. They will help you with rentals, with purchasing. They're kind of a one-stop shop. Like I said, when we first started, they've been voted for 3 years in a row #1 buying and selling on Caballero, which is like the MLS for those of you who are familiar with that term. They have 8 locations across the country, so they know the area, they know the country really well, and again, they can help you wherever you want to be. So I think we've probably answered almost every question with regard to tours and visas and connecting you with people. We're happy to do that, and we're again so happy that you guys spent this time with us, and we look forward to staying in touch with you. Mike and Jazmin, do you have anything you'd like to offer before we go?
I want to say thank you for everybody that came and joined us. We are always here, very happy to help newcomers and people, that need our guidance. So feel free to reach out, and we will be more than happy to start, this new adventure for you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks
Thank
very
you
much.
all.
Enjoy your day.
I too would like to
Thank-
thank Cynthia for putting this on, and thank everybody for attending today, and reiterate what Jazmin said. We're here to help you. We're very easy to work with, and we're looking forward to meeting you here in Panama.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.